So good afternoon. Welcome to Training Bytes. Today we're going to talk about customer relationship management. If you have any questions, in the Ring Central toolbar, there's a chat window. Feel free to put any questions in the chat window. We'll have a Q&A at the end. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. My name's Gina Thomas. I'm the training manager at C&K Systems and your hostess for Training Bytes, a digestible approach to counterpoint training. For those of you that have repeat business, customers that come in over and over, I would hope that you are tracking those customers by creating customer records in Counterpoint. That way you can build up your marketing database, hoping to drive, more business into the doors. You've probably noticed that when you go to a default customer record in Counterpoint, it doesn't have a lot of additional fields to collect additional information like favorite color, favorite vendor, birthday, anniversary. And what about customers that have multiple addresses associated with one customer record? And did you know that the standard customer list report, well, it does include an email address, but the report's really messy when you export it. So we're going to talk about some different solutions for that. So today I'm going to show you how to leverage profile fields. Now these are already built into Counterpoint, so you don't pay extra for them. They just need to be enabled and used. We're also going to talk about notes for customers. I'm going to show you how to define multiple shipping addresses for one customer record, and also how to export customer information from a lookup or a table view. So first of all, you want to enable profile fields, and you'll find that in Setup, System, Quick Setup, and if you click on the Customers tab, you'll be able to define up to 5 code profiles. I like code profiles because they force selection from a list, so the data is very consistent. You also have 5 date profiles. These are month, day, year specific. Then you have alphanumeric profiles. These are free-form fields where anyone can free type into the field, whether it's a number or a letter. And then you have 5 numeric profiles. These profile fields are treated like money. So if you typed in 12345, it would come out as $1,234. Once you enable a profile field, when you go to a customer record, you're going to see a new tab called Profiles. So you can see here my birth month has a lookup. So you can't free type in this field. You have to select something from a list. Now my favorite color and favorite vendor are free-form fields. So I could just free type into these fields. The anniversary, you'll notice, has a drop down. This is the calendar drop down, but it does want month, day, year. When you go into table view, which is the screenshot back here, or a lookup, you can manipulate the table view or the lookups to include those new profile fields that you just created. And you can always export the information from the table view to a CSV or from a lookup to a CSV or multiple other applications. So you get a little more flexibility on exporting through a lookup. Now, a lookup is when you go to the magnifying glass. Table view is when you go to this little grid icon. There's also a pretty cool feature in Counterpoint called an auto note. You can assign auto notes to customers or items. So when the customer is selected or the item is selected, your auto note will automatically pop up at point of sale. Now, in order to have auto notes, you have to have like a control word for the auto note. And that is set up in Setup, Point of Sale, Control. And you can see down here in the bottom half of the page, my control word is auto. Your control word can be anything. It can be 1, 2, avocado, pineapple. I like auto because it's easy to remember and it's short for automatic. So any note that has a display ID of auto on a customer or an item will automatically pop up at point of sale. Things like, verifying a customer address, or maybe an item auto note that says, this contains peanuts. Don't sell it to people who are allergic. And did you know that you could actually print address labels from Counterpoint, which is pretty nice? And it's kind of buried in the software. But if you go to System Labels, you can actually select this label job called Address C Sale. This means I want to print address labels for customers, but I want to focus on labels for customers that have spent X amount of dollars in the last month, the last 3 months, the last 6 months. Notice the label file name is the Avery 5261. So out of the box, without any customizations, you can go to Office Depot or Office Max, whatever your preferred office supply place, buy the Avery 5261s. They come in 2 columns, 20 to a page. If you need something custom, then you need a customization. When it comes to adding multiple addresses to a single customer record, on the customer record itself, you have a ship to address. And when you click on that ship to address, you can actually define another address. Now, the ship to address name is going to default to default, meaning whatever you type here will become the default address for that customer when you choose shipping addresses. So if you look to the main tab of a customer record, this is considered the billing address. So perhaps Bill lives in Memphis and that's where you send the bills, but they get shipped to an address in Nashville. If you want the ship to address to be completely different and not the default address, you could simply just put a name here, like Bill's vacation home or Bill's daughter. Once you add multiple addresses to a customer and you zoom in on the customer, you can click on Ship to Addresses here. And then you can see here, I've got 2 addresses for Jenna. One is to her daughter, because maybe she emails packages to her daughter, and one is her vacation home. You can easily export customer data from a table view or a lookup. You get a lot more options in the lookup. So if you right click anywhere on table view, you right click anywhere in the lookup, you can export data. This automatically sends it to a CSV. But if you want more options, click on preview. And then when you click on preview, you'll get, and this is any preview in Counterpoint, by the way. When you click on preview, you'll have an envelope on the toolbar, and that envelope on the toolbar will allow you to export to other programs like maybe Acrobat, maybe Word, maybe HTML, maybe Crystal. Okay, so that being said, let's just go ahead and take a look in the software. So first I want to enable profile fields. So I'm going to come to Setup, I'm going to come to System, and I'm going to come to Quick Setup. And I'm going to click on Customers. So you can see here I have a birth month. And if I can't free type in this field. I have to actually select from a list. So I'm just going to add another one to my list. Let's add April. Let's add May. May. By the way, identifiers, like this profile code's an identifier, these automatically convert to caps. Now, maybe I want another profile field. I want to flag my customers who want to be notified about sales in advance. So in advance of the general public, in advance of any promos going out or advertisements. So I'm going to say notify sales. And then again, I have to have something selected from a list. So I'm going to come in here into codes. It's just going to save my changes so far. And I'm going to add, and I'm going to add a Y for yes, because, this means if I check this on a customer record, this is a customer that wants to be notified in advance about sales. Another very nice marketing tool. I'm going to enable the numeric profile just so you can see what it looks like. Remember, it's treated as money. I'm just going to call it deposit. Okay, so now I'm going to click OK. Now when I go to my customers, so I'm just going to go to customers and then customers. And I'm just going to right click here, just use my right facing arrow. So see, now I have a profile tab, and here's where I can come and populate these codes. So again, for the code profiles, I have to select from a list. If you leave this code profile blank, it'll be treated as a no. We want that to be a yes. Then you can see I free typed my favorite color. By the way, if I try to free type anything where there's a code, I'm going to get this message. Okay, so you just can't free type something. But here I can free type whatever I want. And then just to show you how the numeric profile works, because this is a numeric profile. So these are code profiles. These are alphanumeric profiles. Here are the date profiles. And again, it's month, day, year. So you just can't go and put in a month or a day. And then the numeric profile, when I put in a number, that's what it does, $12,345. And I'm going to save. Now, once you have those profiles, you can leverage them. So I can go to Table View, and I can right click and go to my column designer. And then I can add the columns simply by double clicking, or if I want to click on the column and then add, that's fine. If you want to remove, you can double click, or you can highlight and remove. Okay, so I want to export this to a CSV. And again, in table view, when you export, it's automatically going to be a CSV. So I'm going to right click, I'm going to export data, and then I'm just going to put this on my desktop so it's easy to find, but you can save it anywhere you want. Then I'm going to come down here and give it a file name, customer list, and I'm going to save. So now if I exit here, it's still saving. If you have a really, really large list, that might take a minute or two to export. So if you can't exit from that window, like I just couldn't, it just still means that the file's still exporting. So I'm going to find my customer list, which is right here. I'm going to open it up. And what you'll notice is that it looks exactly the same columns that were in the table view. You know, you might have to widen something up just to make it prettier. But the exact same columns we saw in table view is exactly what appears on this spreadsheet. I'm going to unminimize Counterpoint. Now, when you go into a lookup, you get a little more flexibility on exports. So you can go into this lookup here on the customer number line, or you can go here. And again, you're going to go to your column designer. So options, column designer. And then you can add a column here. Like I want to do the sales notification column here. Now I could scroll down into the S's under hidden columns, but here's a little tip so you don't do all that scrolling. If you just click on one of these elements and type the first letter of what you're looking for, it'll jump you down to that section in the list. So I'm looking for, I think I called it notify sales. There we go, notify sales right there. So I'm going to double click to put it over here at the visible columns, or click on add. If you want to change the position, you could highlight it and move up or move down. Now, if I right click and export, this is going to go straight to a CSV. And again, I can choose where it's going to live, give it a file name. I'll just call it customer lookup. And it automatically will be saved as a CSV. Now, if you want a little more flexibility, a few more options, if you click on preview, and this is any preview in Counterpoint, whether it's a lookup preview or a report preview. Oh, and this is a little messy too. See how it's, kind of wrapping. It's on 2 lines, so it's not super lineal. It's eating up a lot of real estate. That's an easy fix. So before I export it, I'm just going to fix some columns here. Maybe I'll shorten up this column. So I'm just kind of jockeying my mouse here. And maybe I'll shorten up this column a little bit. And now I'm going to preview. So this is much nicer. Everything fits on one line. Now, when you're in a preview, any preview, report preview, lookup preview, you're going to see an envelope up here. This will let you export what you are looking at right here to multiple different formats. Now, you have to have that application installed. So if you don't have Excel installed on this computer, you're not going to be able to export to Excel. But we'll just choose Acrobat. And then you can choose a destination. So you can either say, go ahead and launch the application, or I want to save it somewhere on my computer, maybe a special folder or my desktop. I'm just going to leave it at application. Now I'm going to click OK and OK. Okay, so you can see my PDF looks exactly like my lookup with the same exact columns. But now we want to take advantage of these special fields. So if you're in table view, and perhaps you just want to focus on your customers that have a birthday in March because you're going to send them a little postcard, come up here to the filter, and then the birth month is not a searchable element in the filter. So you'll need to customize. But any profiles that you enable will be an available filter element. So I'm going to right click. I'm going to come down here to customize. And then I'm going to come out down here to this line that says click here to add a condition. So I'm just going to left click here. And Counterpoint brings over the first condition it sees because it can't psychically read my mind. So I'm going to left click on this red condition. And when I left click here, I will get a drop down list. Maybe, maybe not. And I'm just going to type a B on my keyboard. I'm going to select birth month. And then I could put criteria in right here, but it's a little clunky. And you're more than welcome to go ahead and choose your criteria here. What I like to do is I like to simplify the filter. So I'm just going to right click. I'm going to simplify. And then I'm going to come into my lookup. And I'm going to say, give me a list of everyone with a birthday in March. And then I can right click and export the data. Or let me clear this filter. In my lookup, maybe I want to see a list of everyone that has a birthday in March. So again, I'm going to have to employ a filter. Or I could sort. I could right click and sort. And then it'll group up all of my birthdays together. You could do that as well. But I just want the March birthdays. So I'm going to come up here to the filter. And again, I'm going to need to customize the filter. Right click, customize. I'm going to click here to add a condition. Of course, it brings over a random condition. I'm just going to click on that random condition, type a B on my keyboard. I'm going to simplify the filter before I use it. Right click, simplify. And then I'm going to choose March. And there we go. So now I have all the birthdays for March. And perhaps I do want to give a list of all these birthdays in March to one of my sales associates because they're going to handwrite out a birthday card. So they're going to need to know a zip code, but they don't really need to know this customer number. So they really don't need to know the favorite color or favorite vendor. So I'm going to customize this to only see what we really need to see in this list. So I don't need customer number, but I do need zip code. I don't need favorite color. I don't need favorite vendor, but I want zip code. And there we go. So now I have a list of all my March birthdays. Oh, I don't like the position of that zip code. If you don't like the position of a column, go to the column, hold down your left click, slide, and you don't see the column moving, which is a little weird. But when you let go of your left click, it moves. So now I could go ahead and preview and export this, or I could right click and export this. Or if I want to save this, I just always want to see a list of my March birthdays when I go into this lookup. And I can always, use my default lookup, but I want to have a special lookup for my March birthdays. So I'm going to go to Options, Save As, and I'm going to call it March birthdays. When you save a lookup, your lookups will live here in this dropdown. So now normally when anyone goes into a lookup, anyone in the organization, they see the default. So if you want to see your March birthday list, you could use this dropdown and just choose March birthdays. And there you have that. Another thing that you can do on a customer record or an inventory record is attach an automatic note, one that pops up automatically when the customer is selected or the item is selected. So I'm just going to come in here into customers, and we're going to find my favorite customer, Bill Baker. There's Bill. And you can see up here on the toolbar, there's a piece of paper. Now this piece of paper has writing on it, which means there's already a note or notes attached to Bill Baker's record. So you can have more than one note. So if I scroll through to, let's say, Doopy Instruction, that's a crazy customer name. See how the piece of paper is black? It means there's no notes here. This customer has 0 notes attached. So let's go back to Bill. I'm going to click on the note. Now, when you click on the note icon, it just takes you to a blank record, but there's black arrows here. So we know there's something here. Now, whatever's here, we can see by using the right-facing black arrow. So you can see I put some directions to Bill's house because maybe he lives in a remote place where GPS doesn't work. And then I have an auto note. Oh, I think I deleted it in the last session. I'll create another one. Okay, so here's a note with a note ID of the date and time. So when this customer is selected, this note will not automatically pop up. But if I need to print up this note, if you go to this little icon here, it looks like a floppy disk. You can go ahead, save it anywhere. I'll save mine to the desktop, call it something. I'll just call mine Map and Directions. Okay, it's just replacing an old file I had. So now when I exit or minimize Counterpoint, here's my map and directions. And there you go, right from the note field. Pretty cool stuff. Now for an auto note, remember we needed a control. And that control is under Setup, Point of Sale Control. You're going to click on the Other tab. And like I said, I like using the control auto. But if you want to change it to something else, you want your control to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's fine, but you'll have to exit and restart Counterpoint for Counterpoint to recognize that as an auto control note field or even an item one. But I like mine at auto, easy to remember. So I'm going to go back to my customer record. And so I'm going to go to customers, and we're going to find good old Bill, and we're going to give him an auto note. So here's Bill. I come up here to the note, and the note ID is auto, short for automatic. I'm going to press my enter key. Once you type the note, if you want it to kind of jump off the page at point of sale, you can actually highlight the note, come in here into the A with the underline, and then you can change the font style, the font size, and even the color. Let's make this green. So there you go. And you can also make it italic, underline it, center justify, right justify, left justify, or put a bullet. And so let's see how that looks at point of sale. So I'm just going to go back to point of sale here. I think I already have it open. Touchscreen. There we go. So I'm going to do a customer lookup. And I don't know if you know this or not. You might have a button for customer lookup, or you might have like something on your toolbar at the top for customer lookup. But did you know if you came right down to the customer number line here and just clicked straight on this line, you can actually do your lookup from here. So I'm going to go into the lookup and uh-oh, where's my customer list? So Counterpoint has a habit of remembering your last lookup. So if you go into a lookup and it doesn't look right and you're like, oh, what's going on here? Just come up here to this drop down and choose default. And then I'm just going to keyword search for Bill. Keyword searching is the fastest way to find people. It's a lot faster than scrolling. There's Bill. Okay. There's the pop-up note. So auto notes are pretty cool. And like I mentioned, you can also attach them to items. And it's going to be the same thing. I'm just going to click on the note icon. Let's see if I find an item with a note here. No notes on my items. What's up with that? Oh, here's one. So this ADMTL2, anytime it's selected at point of sale, there's no auto notes. Let's make an auto note for this. So let's just go here. Let's say AUTO, short for automatic. This is a great product for beginners. And then I'm just going to save. And again, it's behavior at point of sale, which of course I closed out of point of sale. I have to sign back in. Oh, wrong password. Wah, wah, wah. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select my ADM TL2. There is my auto note. So auto notes are fantastic. Another good reason for leveraging those profile fields is in pricing. So for those of you that use price rules, you know, those automatic discounts that no one has to think about, you could actually create a price rule. Let's say you're going to offer all your customers that have a birthday in March a 25% discount off everything. So I'm just going to call this March Special. And I'll just press my enter key. It's going to be the March Birthday Special. And it's going to start at the beginning of March. And it'll end the end of March. Okay. Now, I only want this to apply to customers where the customer record has been marked with a birthday of March. And down here in this, this is a filter down here. You'll notice that my birth month is not an eligible searchable filter option. So guess what? I'm going to customize. Right click, customize, click here to add a condition, some random condition. Click on the random condition, type B. I'm going to select birth month. Again, I can put it here, or I can just right click and simplify. And let me scroll down. Let me make this window a little bit bigger. There we go. And so now I can come in here and specify this special is only good for customers where March is their birth month on the customer record. Then I can come here to rules, 25% off anything. You can be more restricted than that. Down here, I'm actually going to say this is a discount percent based on price one, and it's a 25% discount. So again, when you select a customer with a March birthday attached to that customer record, as you're ringing that sale, Counterpoint's going to automatically be discounting everything on that sale 25%. So super good reason to leverage profile fields. Now, there's a customer report in here, and this is a standard customer report. I'll show you how I got here. So I'm just going to go to customers right here, and I'm going to go to reports, and I'm going to click on customer report. This is one of those reports, what you see is what you get. So you can't manipulate this report. So there's only two ways to run it. There's the customer list full, and there's the brief. So I'm going to choose the customer list full, and I'm going to preview it. So we can see that there is an email right here, but this is really messy. If I just wanted to do an email blast with a customer email, if I export this, and we'll just export it to Excel. Oh, by the way, don't be confused by these years here. NCR just hasn't updated them. If you have Excel 2013, 2015, 2016, it's all going to work. And I'm going to say, let's send it to the application. And whenever you send or export something, you get a bunch of pop-ups, just say, okay, okay. So you can see this export is super sloppy. And if I just need a report with an email address, I'm going to have to strip out a lot of this information. Now, the other way to run the report is brief. And this is a lovely, lovely looking report, but it's missing the email. And I can't manipulate this report. So if you want something you can manipulate and see whatever you want to see on the report, you're going to rely on your lookups. So I'm going to close out of here. And I'm going to go back to customers and customers. And I'm going to create a lookup that is dedicated to email addresses. So all I really want in the lookup is the customer name and their email address. So I'm going to do a little column designing and get rid of what I don't need and add what I do need. So I'm going to go to Options, Column Designer. I don't need this. I don't need this. You can bulk remove these. If you just highlight one, hold down your Shift key, and then remove, you can do that. So I want email. And so now I have a list of all my customers and emails. But I've got some customers that don't have an email address. So I can actually filter down to only customers that have an email. So again, I'm going to come to Filter. My email address is not a searchable field. So I'm going to need to customize. I'm going to need to add a condition. And I'm going to say email, instead of is exactly, is not empty. I only want customers with an email address that is not empty. So it looks like I only have one. I've been doing a very bad job at capturing emails. Now, if I don't want to create this from scratch, every single time I want to do an email blast, you're going to save the lookup. You're going to go to Options, Save As, and I'm just going to call it Email Look Up for Gina. I already have a few email lookups. So now, usually when anyone in the organization goes into a lookup, this is what they see. They see the default. So if you want to see your email list, you're going to use a dropdown. And as you add more customers to your database, the customer records that you populate with an email address will automatically appear in this list. So that's pretty cool. Okay, multiple shipping addresses. So as I mentioned on this main tab, this is considered the billing address, but perhaps, although Bill gets his bills here, he actually has them shipped to a different address. So let's see what we have here. So he actually has a Myrtle Beach address, and that's it, just the main address in Myrtle Beach. So when I zoom in on Bill, and I come down to ship to addresses, I can see there's an additional address outside of the billing address. So let's go to a fresh customer here. Let's go to Kenneth. So Kenneth's billing address is Memphis. Now, if I leave this as default, and I put in an address here, oh, it looks like he has one. This is on West Jefferson Avenue instead of Salinger Way. So because this is the default, if I add shipping or a shipping address at point of sale, or I want to call up a shipping address, this is going to be the default that it calls up automatically. If I want this address to appear in shipping, then I specifically have to request it through point of sale. But let's say Kenneth has a vacation home in Nashville. So I could call the ship to address vacation, right? And I could say Ken's vacation home in Nashville. And then, of course, I would put in, his information here. And we'll see, it's 123 Music Road, because there's lots of music in Nashville, right? And I'm not sure what the zip code is, so we'll just make it up. And I'm going to save. So now when I zoom in on Ken, and I go to ship to addresses, so you can see there's the default address. That's that one that is not this one, not Salinger Way. The default address is the one on West Jefferson Avenue. So let me show you how that plays out at point of sale. And of course, I closed out a point of sale. I have to sign back in. See if I remember my password this time. And I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to select Ken. Uh-oh, look. Remembered my last lookup. No worries. I'll just go back to the default. And then I'm going to look for Ken. There he is. Okay, now I'm going to ship to Ken. Just say no to that. Don't need that. Okay, so that was an auto note, by the way. Ship to. Okay, so notice it's going to the default address on Jefferson Avenue. So if I want the bill to address, this is the one coming from the main address. If I want a different address, if I just go into this lookup, I can choose Ken's vacation right there. And it go ahead and updates everything. And you can have as many addresses attached to a customer as you like. It's SQL, it's unlimited. Now labels. I had mentioned in the slideshow presentation that you could actually send address labels to your customer. You can actually create address labels, but focus on customers who have spent a certain amount of money. This is under system and it's under labels. And when you go to this label job lookup, the very first one in here is the customer sales history one. So I'm going to select it. And again, I want you to notice it's using Avery 5261. And then down here, I haven't had too many sales this month. I'm just going to do 12 months. I want to print labels for all my customers that have made a purchase of at least $100 in the last 12 months. And that's cumulative, by the way, not a single transaction. So I preview here and I can see Robert Johnson, Jenna, Kenneth. They've all spent that at least $100 in the last 12 months. If you are using the Avery 5261, they have 20 labels to a page, and maybe you've used up the first 6 labels. You don't have to throw away the rest of the page. You can actually tell Counterpoint here to skip the first 6 labels because you've already used them. You can just print out straight address labels without filtering on money. So that would be the second one here. So you can see there's no money values down here. This is just address labels for any grouping of customers or any category customers, or maybe I just want to print out labels for my March birthday customers. So again, this is a filter. I can customize it. I'm going to print up these labels for all my March birthday customers, and then I'm going to put a nice little card in the mail to them. Oops, B as in birth. Okay, and I'm going to simplify. And so now I can just say print a label for all my March birthdays. And there you go. So lots of different ways to leverage those profile fields, lookups, table views, filters, price rules, really, really super helpful in price rules. And again, I encourage you capturing customer information if you have that type of repeat business. And I know some people can be really weird about giving out that information, like, oh, what do you need my name for? It kind of depends on the delivery. If you deliver it like, oh, everyone gives me their name and number, or their first name and last name, some people will just go ahead and give it to you. Or you could offer an incentive, hey, want to be part of our customer database? We have a loyalty program. Or if you are a customer in our customer database, you never have to keep a copy of your receipts because I'll always have a copy of your receipt electronically. Or, hey, if you become part of our customer database, I'll give you 5% off your purchase today. So hopefully your takeaways today: how to enable and use profile fields and notes, defining multiple shipping addresses, creating and exporting views and lookups. All real helpful stuff. I always appreciate your feedback. When you get a link to the recording for this session, there will be a survey attached. It's anonymous. If you care to remain anonymous, that's fine. You want to put your name on it, that's fine too. And it's just a couple of questions. You can also give us suggestions for future webinars. Or if you can't wait to fill out that survey and you just want to fill it out right now, go to our website, www.cksystem.com/Training Bytes Survey, and fill out the survey for me. If you want custom training on your data, your business, give me a call. Main number, 888-476-7911. Extension 3 is the training line, or my direct extension is 413, or you can email training@cksystem.com to request training. Next month is going to be really cool. On February the 2nd, we're going to talk about accounts receivable. Now, some of you already have accounts receivable and some of you don't. So for those of you that don't, I will tell you it is an add-on module that does cost extra, but the benefits are worth it. With accounts receivable, you can have an in-house charge card for your customers, or a really common way I see AR being used is to track employee purchases for payroll deductions. Now, if you're a current AR customer, we are going to talk about the functionality of AR, setting up an AR customer, taking payments on account, and account management. So definitely reserve your spot. Okay, I'm going to take questions now. So it looks like I got a couple questions here in the chat window. Okay, when you filtered for 25% off on all products in March, actually I didn't filter for 25% off all products in March. I created a price rule that said you would get a 25% discount if you were born in March. So the reason I didn't go to the item tab, so I'm going to show you what we're talking about here. Let's go here. Escape. So a price rule is not a filter. It is actually a rule that automatically discounts. So I'm just going to come here. I like to do all my price rules under contract because that's the first place Counterpoint looks. So I already have a rule here. This is for members to get a 10% discount. And so you can see only customers who belong to the members category get this discount. And then when I go to rules, right here on this prices tab, I basically said it's a 10% discount. If I don't come to the items tab, I leave this blank, it means 10% off everything. But if I come to the items tab, I can say, well, if they're a member and they're buying something in the golf category, they get 25% off. But if they're a member and they're buying something in the apparel category, that 10% off does not apply. It's a good question. Okay. Yes, so you are, yeah, that is correct. If you don't put something on this items tab, it means everything in the inventory. So, you can be as restrictive as you like or as generous as you like. Come on, it's their birthday in March. Let them have 25% off everything. Okay, any other questions? Okay, I don't see anything coming up in the chat window. Okay, so Thank you for your time today. Thank you for your attendance. Hopefully I'll see you in February. Oh, just got a question that popped up. Yay. Oh, thanks again. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for attending. I appreciate it. Okay, everyone have a great day. Have a great week. And hopefully I talk to you next month.